Hello guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to a new video. So briefly, back in December last year, I'd done a first impressions review of Automobilista 2. I hadn't played it for very long, I'd only been playing it for a few days, but it's just basically my initial first impressions. It wasn't terribly in depth, but it was pretty good general overview of Automobilista 2. So fast forward, 3 months, almost 4 months, and I played the game pretty much every single day, live streaming pretty much every night. I absolutely love this title. I think it's no secret that I'm an AMS2 fanboy, but this is going to be an in-depth review, completely unbiased, even though I am a fanboy. Basically, we just want to discover whether, now it's in 2023 and with new things on the horizon like Rennsport and AC2, hopefully in the next year or so, is AMS2 worth your investment both in time and money? Let's head into the video and let's find out. So I had AMS2 in my Steam library for well over a year before I actually played the title. I bought it on a whim in the Steam sale. I got the a season pass, which at the time seemed absolutely fantastic value. But I didn't play the game purely because of the initial reviews. The initial reviews basically saying, oh, it handles terribly, like the physics are not right, the force feedback was wrong, everything felt slidey and bouncy and stuff. So it just went on the back burner, and like it literally stayed in my Steam library for well over a year. I didn't touch it. That's primarily down to like all the the big YouTubers, when they reviewed it, they just completely panned it basically. And as much as you don't want to be, you're influenced by these guys. So I just didn't bother. Like I say, I bought it on a whim. It seemed like great value. I think 50 quid or around about £50 for the whole season pass, which at the time included all the content that was due to be released in 2022. So there's a full year of content and going into 2023. So, but like I say, I didn't touch it, but I got a little bit disillusioned with iRacing. Like I've been an iRacer for like the last 3.5 years or so. I got a little bit disillusioned with it, so I thought I'm just going to fire this up, and it was right. It out of the box, AMS2 isn't great. You need to do a little bit of tweaking to get it working or get it handling exactly how you feel. But once you've done that, the title is fantastic. It really is. I mean, we'll touch on all of the positives and we'll touch on all the negatives as well of AMS2. But honestly, guys, if you can pick this up for cheap, like in a Steam sale or like a Game Keys website or something for a tenner or so just for the base game, it is absolutely a no-brainer to buy this. It really is. But like I say, we'll crack on with the review, and we'll touch on as many details as we can. But obviously, being a bit of a fanboy of AMS2, I'm going to bring up as much of the positives as I possibly can. And where better to start than the visuals? AMS2 visually is, I would say, probably the best looking sim on the market today. It's stunning. It's absolutely stunning. From even in standard, just driving, it just looks spectacular. Add in dynamic weather, add in day-night transitions, and honestly, like in VR especially as well, it can be quite surreal. Like Monza in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning, and the mist just rolling across the track, just as the sun coming up, just bursting through the trees. It is a real feast for the eyes. It really is. Don't take my word for it. Just have a look at this. And if you take note of the trees, we're at the height of summer, so the trees all got leaves on, but the track is it's a live track. It's very seasonal. So if you come here like in February or January, there's no leaves on the trees. I think they call it live track, but it's absolutely fantastic. It's not like other sims where you've got like one model, one scan, like just one set. What am I saying? You know, like in iRacing, if you on the track, everything on the side of the track, like all the visuals, they're all the same. They never change. But in AMS2, look at this mist rolling across the track there. Look, absolutely stunning. And like I said, in VR, it's just ridiculous. It's really, you're fully immersed. The sun is just about to start bursting through the trees very, very shortly. I know visually, you know, sim racers in general are not graphic snobs, and like, you know, there's a lot more things, a lot more important things that make a sim racing game good. But it doesn't hurt when the game looks this good. I just see the sun just starting to peak, just starting to rise. And look at the exhausts. You know, the flames coming out of the exhaust. It's just little details. And the mist rolling across the track like it would do, you know, this time of the morning. It's absolutely stunning. See the sun just poking up through the top of the trees there. We'll probably get blinded now as we get around to the Lesmos. Oh, incredible. And that really does blind you. If you're in VR, that sun really does blind you, just like it would in real life. The shadows, oh, it's just incredibly good looking sim. We're now at Watkins Glen in the Porsche RSR, which is my favourite GTE car in AMS2. Going to demonstrate now the day to night transitions and just how good the transitions are. We've got it on I think 30x time compression, so it's going to be pretty quick. We'll also demonstrate a little bit of the dynamic weather. We're going from really sunny to some light rain to some pretty heavy rain going into night as well, so we'll be able to showcase all of the day, night and dynamic weather transitions. Once again, we're at the height of summer, so all the leaves and that on the trees are all green. The sun's just going down there. Next time we come round, we should be almost in darkness, I would have thought, or very close to it. Just starting to rain. And we've just gone past the pits, unfortunately. So we're going to have to do a full lap on slicks. Hopefully we get round to the pits before it starts really heavy rain. So we've got our tyre strategy already ready to go. Put the wets on. Car's really starting to become a bit of a handful. Look at that big rain cloud up ahead. Look at the sky. How it's changed from that really sunny, bright day. I mean, obviously this has got a lot of time compression on. Let's put some lights on. Well, we're going to go into the pits now. If we can make it round there without the AI bumping us off. Yeah, there's quite a few AI going into the pits to change to wet weather tyres. Right, we're off. Lots of spray. We're just looking at the rear view, the headlights, how they're like, because the track's so wet, just reflecting off of the track surface. Just little details. Absolutely stunning. And here we are in Ayrton Senna's iconic MP4 5B. This is part of the Brazilian Legends DLC. And if you bought the season pass, you would have got this. Just listen to that. Listen to the engine in full tilt. If you're into your classic Formula 1, AMS2 absolutely delivers. I mean, it's got so much classic F1 content. I mean, the sounds. This is my era of Formula 1. Just listen. And visually, look at the crowd. Oh, little bump there. Sorry, mate. Oh. We're better to put the MP45B through its paces than Interlagos. Home GP of the great man. Real Formula One. Like I say, this is my era. And if Daytona's more your thing, in the DPI, one of my favourite cars in AMS2. And incidentally, the Daytona event that I live streamed a month or so ago was one of the best races I've had for a long time. If you want to catch up on that event that we did a month or so ago during the Daytona weekend, we had almost 60 racers across 2 servers. It was one of my most successful streams, certainly one of the most fun I've had in AMS2. But just visually, it's just, this game is I personally think it's the best looking game out there, and like I say, in VR it is spectacular. The optimization, look at the crowd in the stands, look, it's just. And during the event, when we done the Daytona event, the day to night transition, you see the Ferris wheel all lit up. Amazing, truly amazing. But it's not all about the graphics. As sim racers, there are far more important things like force feedback and physics that interest us. So, but it doesn't help when the eye candy is this good. So one of the biggest criticisms that a lot of the big YouTubers had of Automobilista 2 and why it was panned so much was the physics and the handling. Now, AMS2 is built on the Madness engine, which was Project Cars 2, which incidentally was my first foray into sim racing. And as beautiful as Project Cars 2 looked, the physics were highly questionable. And obviously, being built on the same engine, AMS2 physics kind of had that same sort of slidey feeling. You know, just slide around the corners. It just didn't feel, you didn't feel connected at all, really, to the track. And on first boot, like out of the box, AMS2 does suffer from the same sort of slidey, floaty, bouncy feeling. Now, that's mainly due to the camera settings. I done a video about a month ago sharing my camera settings, and it basically the biggest culprit are the G-force settings. Once you zero most of them down, it don't have to be exactly on 0, but like close to 0 from where they are initially. I can't remember exactly where they are when you first boot up AMS2, but it's just when you go around the corner, the whole car moves and just slides in front of you. And it's really off-putting, and it completely is. Them initial reviews were correct. It did have a slidey. He's like he's on a boat. He really felt like he's on a boat. I felt seasick like watching it, like trying to drive. I just couldn't drive. But once I zeroed all of those G effects down and the legacy head movement and all the rest of it, if you search my channel, look for the video entitled camera settings for Automobilista 2. Trust me, if you use them, it absolutely transforms the driving experience. And I spent a weekend dialing in all the settings. My force feedback, I absolutely love my force feedback. I've got a little T300 RS wheel. Soon, very soon, to be upgrading to a DD wheel. But even with like I say, even with a T300 RS, I only use the default force feedback profile. Again, on that camera settings video, I detail or showcase my my force feedback settings, and I've got the game feeling probably. I feel like the force feedback in AMS2, once you've got it dialed in, again, I think it's some of the best out there. It absolutely knocks spots off of iRacing's force feedback. ACC, people swear by ACC's force feedback. I find it incredibly light and a little bit vague. Now that might change once I've got a DD, but for me, with a T300, I can't get on with ACC's force feedback. I don't feel as connected to the road. Now, like people say, it's the best out there. For me, it's not. But force feedback is very subjective. But just spend a bit of time in AMS2, get the force feedback and like the camera settings. That is the biggest culprit of that floaty, bouncy, slidey feeling. Once you've got them settings sorted, AMS2 feels and looks wonderful. So this is what I use for my T300 RS. Gain 95, low force boost 13, FX I have it on 83 because that just gives me a little bit more, that gives me a lot more road texture feeling. Now, some say you shouldn't have the FX on too high, and once I've got a direct drive wheel, that'll probably go right the way down. But just for my lowly T300 RS, which incidentally is a fantastic wheel, these force feedback settings are absolutely perfect for me. And I'll just show you my camera settings, but definitely check out the video. See, movement. See, all of these, the G-force effects, I can't remember where they were on the slider, around about maybe 50 or 70. But once I zeroed all of these, it was absolutely a game changer. It really was a game changer. And like I say, just spend a couple of hours dialing it in. The force feedback is absolutely incredible. And the physics, again, brilliant. Right, so this is basically, this is the main menu of Automobilista 2. And just like any other sim, you've got your single race. You can set up your own championships. We'll go into multiplayer in a little while. Your time trial, so you can go on your time trial leaderboards with any car on any track and just time trial, just lap after lap after lap, hot lapping, brilliant, love it. Official events are just basically just time trials of the week. Test day, just set up a test, like your car, your track. So what we'll do, we'll just go into test day, just so I can show you the amount of content you get. We'll start with the cars. Now, the amount of cars you get in AMS2 is pretty ridiculous. If I just like go into the the Art Camaro, you got 1, 2, 3, 4 different Caterham classes. The Copper Classics are absolutely fantastic for slow cars. Using, like, so what they say is the slower the car, the better the racing. Well, that is so true with the Copper Classics. But you've got everything in here. You've got the DPI. You've got your Formula One stuff. Like, so many classic Formula Ones. You know, like if you're into your old, like your retro Formula One, and especially like, you know, since they released the DLC Brazilian Legends. A lot of Ayrton Senna's and Nelson Piquet stuff. I mean, look, this car, the MP45B, absolutely iconic, brilliant to drive. I absolutely love that. But I also love a bit of Nelson Piquet. The Brabham BT49 is an absolute beast to drive. But he was my hero before Ayrton Senna. Like I say, this is my kind of era of F1. So when they released this, it was just brilliant. I absolutely loved it. But look, you've got everything. You've got your Formula Ultimates, which is the F1 of a few years ago. You've got your Ultimate Gen 2, which is, I think, last year's cars, or modelled on last year's cars. Um, what else we got? We got your IndyCar type stuff. You got, again, old Formula V10s. They sound amazing. Your vintage stuff, your vintage Formula One. How they drove these cars is incredible. You got your, your DTMs, your Group C, all of your GT stuff like GT1, GT3, GT4, GT5, GTE. So they're all covered. This is my AMG. It's got my own livery on, which was kindly made for me. But this is a beautiful livery. I absolutely love this. I've got to showcase it because it's you know, but I just love this livery. The Sim Pub, that's our community. We're almost 450 strong now, which is pretty remarkable since it's only we've only been going a couple of months on Discord. But yeah, I love my AMG. And I've got a few personal liveries that have been made for me by a member of my community. Absolutely fantastic. But there's so much content when it comes to cars. Like the JCW Minis. These around somewhere like Brands Hatch Indy or Donington Park. Brilliant, brilliant cars for close racing. We go back into test day. So we've gone through a lot of the content for the cars. How about the tracks? I'll quickly showcase the F3. So the F309, if we go to the liveries, these can be downloaded off a race department, but it just adds a little bit more immersion. Like the old Red Bull, the old Mercedes, the old Ferrari, the old Renault, and even some of the older stuff, the older Mercedes. You got Nigel Mansell's Williams, the old JPS Lotus livery. They're just fantastic. Look, it just adds so much more immersion. Jensen's Vodafone style F1 car, brilliant, absolutely brilliant, love it. So let's we'll just select that for now, and then we go to the track selection. Now, pretty much like Race Room, where that was quite European centric. There was a lot of, I wouldn't say completely unknown tracks, a lot of obscure tracks that you won't get in any other sim. AMS2 is exactly the same. You'll go to places like Brasilia, Campo Grande. These are all South American tracks that you don't get in any other sims. And honestly, some of them are absolutely fantastic. But it's just so much content. Adelaide, Monaco, Azure, Bathurst, Brands, 2 different layouts. And a lot of these tracks have different layouts as well, like Buenos Aires. A number of different layouts. Cadwell Park, what an absolute gem. I had never driven Cadwell Park until yesterday, but what an absolute gem. The elevation changes, it's brilliant, absolutely brilliant track. But like I say, you've got all the big ones in here as well. You've got your Daytonas, your Donington Parks, your Hockenheim. You got the Nürburgring, which I absolutely have fallen in love with, even though I didn't really know it a month ago. Indianapolis, Interlagos, Imola. So you got all of your regulars. Kansai, which is basically Suzuka, Jerez, Kyalami, Laguna, Long Beach. I mean, Montreal. It's another one of my favourites, especially in the older F1 cars. Monza, Nürburgring, Alton Park, Road America, Watkins Glen, Silverstone. Honestly, there are so many different layouts as well. So you're inundated with tracks. And another good thing that I really love about AMS2 is the historic tracks. So you've got historic Spa, you've got historic Red Bull Ring, it's historic Interlagos, historic Kyalami. I mean, there's so many historic tracks. Historic Hockenheim, where you go off into the forest and stuff. It's the historic tracks are incredible, and I think we're so lucky that we're able to drive whatever car we want on pretty much whatever track we want, especially the historic stuff. You know, Monza with the banking, that like oval with the banking, it's incredible. We are so fortunate that we can do that kind of thing. Anyway, that's the content sort of kind of covered. Let's move on. Another really good thing that I love about AMS2 is the fact that you don't have to pay for a good setup. You know, in other sims, like if you want to be really competitive, you've got to, like in iRacing, you've got to use VRS setups, Coach Dave setups, Pure Driving School setups. There's basically you've got to use a setup shop. Do you know what I mean? And you've got to pay for them to be competitive. Same within ACC. You need paid setups to be super competitive, even though I think you can be competitive just with the aggressive setup in ACC. In AMS2, just go on the time trial leaderboard. Go on the time trial leaderboard. I'll show you how we do it. Get a decent setup in any car on any track. Click on the time trial. Let's just say, for instance, we want to use the F309 at Silverstone. Now, this is your leaderboard. Now, as long as it's got a spanner next to it, you can add Ghost. And then start. When you get into the sim to do your time trial, just let that load up. Loading times are really quick in AMS2 as well, guys. So we've got the loaded Ghost. If we click the spanner icon now, that's now loaded that setup into my system. I can now save it, create a new setup. So that's the original. So all I'll do is I'll just do that. So I'll keep the rest of it, but I'll just put Mets as my thing. That's saved it. That setup is now saved. What I will say is, because it's a time trial setup, 9 times out of 10, you'll find like here, you'll find the front and the rear brake ducts are closed. As you know what I mean, because it's only a 1 lap thing. We want to open them, obviously, because during the course of a race, maybe not quite as much as that. During the course of a race, you'll probably do like 1 or 2 laps, and it'll just blow up. And it'll be the same with the drivetrain, the radiator. Again, just open that up for a race, because if you don't, that engine will just go after 1 lap. And then that's basically it. But just double check it, because what some people do is they'll set their fast lap, then they'll go into the setup and then just move a load of stuff. So just have a little check, make sure it's pretty genuine, and then there you go, you're done. Save. We'll save that to the Dallara F3, and then changes the save. You got yourself a fast setup, and you know it's fast because it's the world record holder. Right, guys, we've covered a lot of the positives of AMS2, and now we're going to come to the negatives. There are negatives. They're glaringly obvious negatives as well, and I don't really like to dwell on them, but they've got to be said. This is an unbiased review of AMS2. The biggest, for me anyway, the biggest glaringly obvious negative, and the huge, massive, can't not see it, elephant in the room, is the multiplayer, unfortunately. Now, as a community, my channel, my YouTube channel, and the community that we built up, we called the Sim Pub. We're kind of bridging the gap of the failings of the multiplayer. Now, open lobbies are not great, and when you can find an open lobby, they are unfortunately full of, shall we say, people that just don't care about racing or racing clean. So our community is kind of bridging that gap for the time being, but there's no ranked multiplayer in AMS2, and if there was, this would be so huge for the sim. Now, there are whispers that they're working in-house on multiplayer or a ranked multiplayer system, and it's in beta, and they're working on it in-house. I've got no reason to disbelieve them. I've got absolute faith in Razer for delivering. They're certainly not sitting on their hands, and the game certainly isn't like in maintenance mode. They're continually developing the game. They're releasing new content, and as much as we all love the shiny new stuff, the bugs they need addressing, and the multiplayer needs addressing. Like I say, the community that I'm involved in, that I've created and that I've built up along with all of the guys, we're bridging that gap, and we have full grids every single night, multiplayer, all sorts of machinery. We have little mini championships. We have a special event on a Sunday where we do a little mini endurance. As I touched on in the video earlier on, the Daytona one, we had almost 60 racers across 2 servers, and it was absolutely fantastic. But there are other bugs. If I just pop you over to AMS2 now, I'll show you one that's really this happened quite recently, and it's not really been addressed. It's Snetterton, and well, you'll see, it's just broken, and it's such a shame because this is one of my favourite tracks. I think it was broken in the last update with the DLC, because I'm pretty sure it was working before then. But after installing the DLC, I booted up this car, GT4, another one of my favourite like cars, because it's now got my livery. As you can see, it's just broken. Now this came about in the last update, and it's you know, it's a known issue, but it's just broke. It's such a shame. I don't like to highlight these problems or these issues, because I am such a fanboy. Like, if you're a subscriber to my channel, you'll know that I absolutely adore AMS2. It's my go-to. I race on it probably 4 or 5 times a week, and the other two days is an ACC night and a race room night. But the rest of the week, 7 days a week, I stream, and 5 days out of that 7, I stream AMS2 because I adore it. I absolutely adore this game. But bugs like this, they need to be addressed. Look, the multiplayer, when it works, it's absolutely fantastic. They use a peer-to-peer networking solution for the multiplayer, and the ease of use is brilliant. I mean, I can set up a lobby like literally in a minute, like 60 seconds. I haven't got to pay for a separate server. I can set up a multi-class race or a single-class race. I can password protect it, and it can be done so quickly. It's brilliant. It's absolutely fantastic. But with the peer-to-peer networking does come problems. Sometimes the lobby can bug out. On a recent live stream, you know, I had to restart the race, I think 3 times to get the race off eventually. And that's a failing of the peer-to-peer networking. As good as it is, the ease of use with which you can just set up a quick server, it's absolutely fantastic. But you know, I think it's quite hard. I mean, I know there are places like Just Race that can host the AMS2 lobbies, but apparently they can be a bit hit and miss too. Whereas other sim titles like your ACCs and stuff, you can set up championships, set up leagues relatively easy. I've not looked fully into the AMS2 implementation, especially on somewhere like Just Race. But like I say, for the time being, the community that we've created and my channel, we've bridged the gap of multiplayer, of clean racing anyway. Obviously, it's not ranked. Obviously, we've got fast drivers in our community. They kind of they sort themselves out in ranking situations. But yeah, I mean, if we can get a ranked multiplayer and a much more stable peer-to-peer networking solution for the multiplayer, that'd be absolutely fantastic. Ranked. We want ranked. We want it a bit more stable. Please, Razer, do it. Another huge thing on a benefit for me personally is the community, the Automobilista 2 community. It's really tight knit and incredibly friendly and welcoming. We all love the game and we want it to do well. We want Razor Studios to create this. It's a flawed masterpiece at the moment. With just a little bit of work, it can be an absolute masterpiece. But the community in AMS2 is absolutely brilliant. I've built up my channel around AMS2, and we've grown in December from around about 90 subscribers on my channel to over 1,000 now. You know, and our Discord as well, the Sim Pub. That's grown. I mean, I only started that 2 months ago. That Discord community, and that's nearly 450 members strong. And it's not people that just joining for the sake of it. It's a really active community, and it's not just mine. It's not just my community. There are other AMS2 communities out there, and we're all supportive of each other. I mean, I want to get as many eyes on AMS2 as I possibly can. So look, guys, there's my overview of AMS2. It's a little bit more in depth than the review I did in November last year. I've unlisted that because it was a little bit inaccurate at times, but where I've been playing it now for 4 months, I feel like I'm in a far better position to comment and review the game. You know, I'm a fanboy. If you're a subscriber to my channel, you know that I love AMS2. There are glaring, not mistakes, but there are some elephants in the room when it comes to AMS2, and I hope they're going to be addressed this year. I really do believe they will be. But look, if you want, like, the bottom line is AMS2 worth your investment, both in time and financially? And it's a categoric, absolutely no-brainer. Just buy it. It's an absolutely fantastic game. It deserves a lot more credit than it gets. It's incredibly underrated. If you don't believe me, just tune into any one of my live streams, or look at any of my live streams from the last 3 months, and you'll see just how much people want to play this game and how good it can be. Alright guys, that's it from me for this video. Sorry it's a bit of a long one, but I just felt like I needed to redo this because, like I say, the one in November was a little bit inaccurate at times. And yeah, I just hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you go out and buy AMS2, and I hope to see you on track. Guys, if you like the video, please give me a thumbs up. And if you're not subscribed to the channel and you like this kind of content, please consider subscribing. I'll see you next time on track. Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.